I tried to record a totally different video today, but I couldn't seem to gather my thoughts together because this is what's on my mind. And I wasn't sure about doing this video yet because it's a bit fresh. I want to share with you something that happened only a couple of days ago. So there's still a lot of emotions going on for me about this event, which takes me nicely to one of the first things I want to say, and that is there is a difference between suffering and experiencing difficult emotions. On Monday this week, I was suffering. And I might think of the main suffering states as depression, anxiety, and I mean a state of anxiety, not briefly experiencing it, and stress. Again, a state of stress, not a brief experience. And the reason why I was suffering so much was because on Sunday night, as my regular viewers will probably know, last October, I got myself a kitty cat called Ottilie, and she is in her cat tree there, being very good, letting me do my recording. Now, one thing you should know about Ottilie is that she happens to be the best cat in the world. And I'm sure many cat owners would say that, but the difference is, in this case, it's true. Anyway, on Sunday night, Ottilie is experiencing breathing difficulties, rapid breathing at rest, and her breathing rate is not slowing down. So I don't know what to do. Is this okay? Can she just be left like this? She doesn't seem massively distressed, but neither is she settled. Anyway, I decided to take her to the emergency out-of-hours vet. They can't really do anything. It wasn't severe enough to take her in and put her on oxygen, and without any kind of diagnosis, there's no treatment that they could give her. So I stressed her out a lot by that 20-minute car journey there and that 20-minute car journey back. She hates being in her carrier. She was shrieking the whole way. And so I'm left with this feeling that I did the wrong thing. She's already struggling with her breathing and I'm making it worse. So that first layer of suffering is I've done the wrong thing and I've caused more suffering for Ottilie. Now, she's had tests for her breathing before because sometimes she pants when she plays, but she's always been able to recover quite quickly. So I didn't think it was going to be a major thing. This was the first time there was a significant ongoing problem with her breathing. And every time I look at her on Monday, it's like a dagger through my heart. And this stress and this worry and this shame, because I feel like I'm not doing enough, just grows and it turns into this big existential thing of, why is an innocent animal having to suffer? I think it's a question that many of us humans struggle with, this idea of animals and children who just seem so innocent have to suffer. But the very implication of that is that suffering is somehow about deserving. So does that mean that adults who suffer deserve it more than children and animals that seem so innocent? It's this idea that quote unquote bad things should always happen for a reason. And I was in that place, and those very beliefs, I could almost feel myself going into this kind of a shutdown, and I didn't know what to do with myself. I felt almost a bit checked out, but still very much suffering. And on Monday evening, I get in the bath, and Ottilie always sits on the chair next to the bath when I'm having a bath because she wants to see what's going on. And she's sitting there, but her eyes are wide open. And normally she would just chill out, and she's still not relaxed. And in the bath, I'm thinking, right, I don't know what to do with myself. I need to shift this state that I'm in. And so I start watching YouTube videos about suffering, what it means, why we suffer, hoping that if I can get some kind of conceptualization of this, make some meaning from it, if you will, then maybe I'll feel like I can cope. Because in this moment, I'm feeling like I can't cope with this. And I only watch a minute or so of this video, and then something inside me says, this is not what you need. You don't need to get into this sort of the philosophy of suffering. What you need is to shift this state. And so the voice that came in my head, and I don't know if this is like my wiser self or whether it's universe or God or however you want to think about it. I don't care how people think about it, but it's like a little wise voice that says to me, gratitude. And I think, okay. So I find a 5-minute gratitude meditation on YouTube, and I'm lying in the bath, and I close my eyes and I do this 5-minute gratitude. And in this meditation, I'm thinking of Ottilie and just how grateful I am because this kitty cat honestly just delights me every single day. She has brought so much joy into my life, but she's also taught me so many lessons about myself. And maybe if you're a cat person, you get it. And maybe if you're not a cat person, this example may be really unrelatable. And I apologize for that. But this swell, I felt it in my heart, this swell of gratitude and appreciation. And it felt so good. I could feel my whole state shifting. So even when the meditation finished, I just found a whole load more things in my mind to list off, things, people that I was grateful for, some of these small things that I'm grateful for. I mean, a couple of years ago when I spent a month in India, when I came back, I was so grateful for my bath. But now, of course, I think of my bath, I just take it for granted most days because it's fortunately always available to me. And as I'm doing this, I just feel my heart break open. And I open my eyes and Ottilie's just sprawled out on the chair with her eyes closed, breathing peacefully. Now we know that animals, they pick up on our energy and our moods. And there's a research centre called the HeartMath Institute that has studied gratitude. And they claim that it changes the electromagnetic field around your heart and that extends beyond you and can be experienced and picked up on by people and living things around you. And so this feeling of gratitude and love has kind of stayed with me since Monday. And currently it's Thursday. And there have been some really hard feelings in that as well. I have felt fear. I felt fear and I feel it in the pit of my stomach because I don't know what the outcome of this is going to be. We have been to the specialist and had tests. Ottie's heart is okay, which is great. We still don't really understand what's going on around her breathing. It might just need to be managed and it might be okay, or it might turn out to be something more. So that feeling of fear, I can feel it in my stomach. And it made me realize something about fear, because it's like there are two types of fear. And I'm thinking about it that there's a primal fear, which is about survival. So if you have experienced trauma or you have PTSD flashbacks or your actual safety is at risk, that's a primal fear, which I think of as a different state. It's the same feeling, but it's different to what I'm calling narrative fear. And narrative fear is about the story in our minds, or this idea of uncertainty or trying to project what's going to happen. We're not actually at risk. I know I'm not at risk, whatever happens to Ottilie. But of course, I'm carrying some fear about that. So it's like my suffering's gone and I can feel so much appreciation and love when I see her, which I couldn't feel any of those things when I was just looking at her apparently suffering myself. That wasn't doing either of us any good. Also, from that place of appreciation and love, I could really surrender and let go of the outcome somewhat. It felt easier to let go of what I can't control. Whereas on Monday daytime, when I was in that contracted, stressed, fearful place, from that state, I couldn't access this idea of letting go. I spoke in my previous video about acceptance. And of course, one of the challenges is, well, how do you accept? And I'm wondering whether gratitude could be a stepping stone or a pathway to that, because when we are in that appreciative state, at least in my experience, it feels more possible. Before, I felt like I don't know how I would cope. If something happens to this kitty cat, I don't know. I had this sense in myself that I wouldn't cope. But now, in this different state, I know I will. I know it will be painful and I will allow the grief and I will move into it. Or this is my intention from my state today, is to just feel it all. And these are the kind of things when I talk about how many lessons this kitty cat has taught me. But I don't want every example on this channel to be about my cat. Now, the challenge with talking about something like gratitude is it can feel like, well, put it this way. Have you ever been struggling with something and then felt guilty that you weren't feeling more grateful? This is common if you're going through something, but maybe someone in your life or just conceptually other people have it so much worse. There is no should in gratitude and appreciation. I don't believe that we have a moral obligation to feel grateful for what we have. I just don't believe in morality around emotions at all. Behavior, potentially, but not emotions, not when it just comes to how we feel. And I think the minute you turn something like gratitude into a should, or you feel bad because you're struggling to access it, then it shuts you off from the possibility of actually experiencing it. So sometimes I think that idea of gratitude, just let it be a cognitive thing. Don't try and force yourself to feel anything that you're not feeling. The challenge is we have a negativity bias in our minds. Our minds are likely to focus on the problems and to focus on what's wrong. And that makes sense, because if we're focusing on the problems and what's wrong, maybe that's because we are supposed to be putting our energy into fixing these problems or managing these problems. But what it means is we miss everything else that's going well. You know that saying, youth is wasted on the young. I can remember when I was much younger hearing that and going, no, it's not wasted on me. I'm having a great time. I feel like I'm making the most out of my youth. But what it means to me now is one of the things I missed the most about being in my early 20s was having energy. I had so much energy and it was a beautiful thing. And that was something that I never appreciated at the time because I didn't know what it was like not to feel like that. I can remember at work seeing some of the older people going home earlier on a night out and thinking, that's never going to be me. I'm always going to be the one who wants to stay to the end. Now, if someone wants to meet up, I'm like, can we do brunch? So I appreciate gratitude has become one of these buzzwords, but things become popular for a reason. A little bit like self-compassion is because when you actually experience it at the time you need it most, it can be transformative. I also think one of the biggest beliefs that compounds our suffering and makes it worse is the belief that this shouldn't be happening. It is the most painful belief because something is happening and everything in you believes it shouldn't be happening. And so in this situation, how do I know what should or shouldn't be happening? It felt like it shouldn't be happening because she's too young. It shouldn't be happening because I love her so much and I don't want to let her go. It shouldn't be happening because why should an innocent animal suffer? And so it's not that I have the answers to those questions, but it's almost the acceptance of that I don't. So by just having so much appreciation for, I don't know why I'm laughing, because I just sometimes think this example is a bit absurd, but so much appreciation for what that little animal has brought into my life. But I also landed at this place of like, I don't own her. Like, how can you own another creature? I know we use this language. I don't own her. I have this guardianship over this little animal for as long as she may be on this planet. Because I've been talking about her so much in this video, it seems only fitting I should get her to come and say hello. So I'll give it a go. Ottie, do you want some fish? Yeah, do you want some fish? Come on then. Come and get some fish. See what I mean? She's the best cat. Come on in. You've got to come onto camera. Come over here. Look. Ottie. Oh. Not doing a very classy job here. Come on then. Here it is. You've got to face the camera. Come on. Oh, good job. See? Best cat in the world. So until next time, stay conscious and keep growing.